When we place an objective on the board, we sometimes convince ourselves that alone is enough to set the direction and the terms of the learning for that day. But oftentimes, unless we invite students to actually interact with an objective, to be able to make sense of it and internalize it for themselves, how can we be certain that they know what success actually looks like?
So today we're going to be looking at making approximations of outputs using something called local linearization. We all have to write objectives. That's a pretty standard practice for teachers. We have to anchor students' thinking, and using the objective is a really useful way to get students to do the work of highlighting or activating the prior knowledge that they have, so that the new learning I give them can be attached to some long-term memory. We've got 2 objectives today. If you will jot those down, or at least... The first part of the practice is just making sure that my objective is direct and clear, but also includes the appropriate academic vocabulary. What I'd like you to do is circle any words that you... So today I asked students to circle words that they felt like they could explain or define, and to star words that they didn't feel like they understood or they didn't understand them in the context of the objective. Looks like we got a lot of circles, just a few stars. So what I'd like to do is start with the person closest to the TV in each group and tell your group at least one word that you starred. And then I asked students to share specifically the word that they didn't understand.
What I circled was linearization. I'm unsure all the way of what that means.
So the teacher could have written the objective on the board, had one of the students read it aloud for the room, and then promptly continue with the rest of the class. In this instance, the teacher cues students towards those key terms, so they are more likely to respond to that prompt in more precise ways.
The other one I said I didn't know was local output, because I'm familiar with like an output of a function, but I don't know what it meant.
I was hoping that maybe some people in the groups would have some information to provide for the student that didn't understand a word, but also I wanted them to be comfortable saying things they don't know. Heard some really good conversations about linearization and concavity. And then it provides a formative assessment for me. As I move around the room, I can see, oh, we're pretty comfortable with concavity, we're not so comfortable with linearization, as it turns out. But it's just an easy, quick picture for me to see where we need to spend more time on. All right, let's talk about this idea of local linearization. I suspected that might